right?
I think you gotta blame the parent.
Well, he doesn't want to blame himself. Try to keep your packages away from guys like that who hopefully learn their lessons, right? That wraps up KRON-TV News at 8.
But our primetime news continues at the top of the hour. Despite the worst COVID surge that we've seen since the pandemic began, Bay Area lawmakers are pushing schools to get kids back into classrooms. How UCSF's COVID response director says that can be done safely.
And more Marin County residents have been calling a suicide hotline for a lifeline. How COVID and the holidays may be a factor and where you can turn for help. Those stories and more coming up next on KRON-TV News at 9.
Now in prime time, from the Bay Area's local news station, you're watching KRON-TV News at 9.
Stay at home so my children can go to school. I think that's worth the price for staying home.
Now at 9, Bay Area school districts are being pushed in many cases to get kids back in classrooms despite our current surge of COVID cases and hospitalizations. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for being here on KRON-TV News at 9. I'm Grant Lotus.
And I'm Justine Waldman in for Vicki tonight. Now, Assemblymember Phil Ting and other members of a San Francisco delegation are calling on superintendents in their districts to reopen schools as soon as possible. This as new coronavirus cases reach new heights.
In the last 24 hours, the country has reported more than 195,000 new COVID cases, and close to 100,000 patients are currently in the hospital because of COVID. This is according to the COVID tracking project. In California, nearly 21,000 new cases were reported in a single day. This is the most new cases recorded in a single day in the state since the pandemic started. California has recorded more than 1 million total cases so far.
In the Bay Area, more than 153,000 cases have been recorded and nearly 2,000 people have died. And despite a surge in infections, a San Francisco delegation has now sent letters to several school districts in the Bay Area demanding that schools reopen.
KRON-4's Taylor Bisacki spoke to Assemblymember Ting and the director of COVID response at UCSF about schools reopening. She joins us live outside of the district headquarters in San Francisco with more. Taylor, what's the vibe tonight?
Well, Grant, despite the surge in cases, doctors and lawmakers are saying that schools should still reopen. And, based on the data of schools that have already began in-person learning in the Bay Area, they say that it's safe to do so, and it's something that we should move forward with.
This letter